Hello fruit lovers, it's Julia from Ross and Healthy, and I'm on call with Tasha Lee, all the way from Florida in America. Tasha, hello and welcome, and thank you very much for joining us. I wanted to ask you about your health transformation because it's an inspiring one. And my first question is, where were you before you discovered a fruit-based raw vegan lifestyle with regards to your health, and what was happening in your life?
Well, I came from 15 years of an eating disorder, stuffing my face with crap and binging and over-exercising and, you know, all the health bad things that came with that, headaches and, you know, always having a cold or just not feeling good, but I didn't realize that I wasn't feeling good. My diabetes was, I have type 1 diabetes and epilepsy. My type 1 diabetes was not in very good control. The epilepsy and the diabetes are very related, so when I would get very low blood sugars, I would have a seizure.
Right.
And I could pretty much rely on that happening. So I just didn't want to have a seizure because then you lose your driver's license, which is very inconvenient. So I ran my blood sugars higher, so I had a higher A1C, which is not a good thing, but I just was doing it to avoid the seizure. So even at the higher blood sugar, it was very unpredictable with the diets that I was eating, which, you know, was the junk thing, and then just trying to find a diet that would work for my diabetes as I was working on recovering from my eating disorder.
Yeah, so tell us about your dietary progression. How did you come across the fruit-based raw vegan lifestyle?
Well, I started with trying a food addict food plan, which was very high in animal products and grains. It was sort of the idea of mixing the carbs with the protein in order to not have a sugar rush. And it actually was not good for my diabetes at all. So the next thing I tried was, well, somebody told me about healing diabetes with raw foods, and I felt like I owed it a shot. And they also told me about somebody who got off their epilepsy medication on raw foods. So I was like, okay, I know nothing. I didn't know anything about raw foods, so I just went to the library and got all the books that they had on raw foods and started plowing through them and trying various methods. And so I tried a lot of different ways of eating raw, like low carb and gourmet raw, green smoothie feasts and water fasting and raw, like with raw cheeses and stuff. So I did quite a variety of things, and I was looking for something that worked for three things. I wanted good energy, and I wanted good blood sugar control, and I wanted a diet that was going to help my body heal. So none of those met all three of my criteria. They maybe met one or two. And so I just kept looking, and then somebody introduced me to the 80-10-10 diet. And so I read that book and tried it, and that actually worked for all three. So I was really excited, but it did take a long time to transition because I was kind of hooked on the good gourmet raw recipes that I had gotten used to over time.
Yeah, I understand it's pretty addictive. How did you feel since you had diabetes? And most people believe that in order to manage or overcome your diabetes, you should never touch fruit, or you should eat it in very, very tiny quantities. How did you feel about eating a lot of fruit?
I just thought the whole raw diet thing was kind of weird anyway. Everybody thought it was strange what I was doing, so I was just kind of open to trying anything.
Okay, so you switched to a fruit-based raw vegan diet, and you started eating a lot of fruit, and you minimized the fat consumption, and you excluded all the gourmet dishes that are not health-promoting, like salty, fatty, oily. How did you feel? What changes did you experience?
I felt very much better. I know when I was doing the heavy fat meals, I felt kind of lethargic, and I noticed every time I would go from eating very fruity and no fat to lapsing back into my other meals that my brain just like felt depressed. But I felt very, very good, very energetic on the fruit. And I did no overt fats for a very long time. I did that for 2 years until I ran into health problems from doing so.
Which can also happen, 2 years is a long time. Now tell us about that. Tell us about deficiencies and issues that you experienced.
Okay, well, my first deficiency that I ran into was about 1 month into getting onto fruit-based raw, and it was a vitamin D deficiency, that's not dietary related. That is because I did not go outside. And I was exhausted, and I was sleeping like 16 hours a day, or 16 hours at night, and then trying to function during the day, but I couldn't do anything except lie on the couch, and I couldn't lift my finger. I was exhausted. I couldn't carry on conversations. I couldn't work on the computer. I couldn't work, obviously, so I just pretty much laid around for months and tried to work on resolving it. And at that time, when it first happened, it was a crash, and I just had 3 days just trembling if I tried to stand up, and I was like, what is going on? I was scared to death. I consulted with Doug Graham. I asked a whole bunch of people on 30 Bananas a Day, and I ended up getting a lot of blood tests done and found out that my vitamin D was low and also my B12 was low. So I started supplementing, and then it was like 6, 7, 8 months later, I was finally starting to be able to function, but during all this time I was sedentary. I couldn't exercise. And just really not functioning well at all. So as the D finally started to get normalized, I was finally able to have a normal life. But I kept testing my vitamin D and continued to supplement, and it was actually in a very good range, and I was still exhausted. I was better, but I was still if I didn't get 12 hours of sleep, I would be trembly and I would want to faint. So I didn't know what the problem was, and somebody suggested to me that it could be omega-3 deficiency. And so I just started doing some experimenting, and when I started supplementing with an omega-3 6-9 oil, which I did for a short term to see if it would bring up my levels quickly, because she also suggested that chia and flax would be good for it, but it would take longer. And I was like, I'm not going to take longer. I'm done with this thing. So I tried the oil, and it made a difference that first day. And then the next few days, it was just amazing. I went from needing 12 plus hours of sleep to 8 hours of sleep, and feeling good and able to move around and wanting to move around. So it was just a really fast change compared to the vitamin D deficiency.
And then after that you started doing seeds, omega-3 and 6?
Yeah, I did the chia and the hemp at the same time that I started the oil, and then when I ran out of that oil, I just stopped using it and just stuck with the chia and hemp. The last one, most recent, is the iodine deficiency, which I just tested a few weeks ago and discovered that I'm pretty low in iodine. So that I'm very excited to see what will happen as I supplement with iodine.
Where can people find you? What's your website?
My website is tashalee.org, and my YouTube channel is Healthy Skinny Beauty. And I have a Facebook page called Healing Diabetes with Fruit that just is where I kind of compiled all of the information that I found that has been helpful to me about fruit and diabetes, because a lot of people are scared of the fruit with the diabetes.
And what about your forthcoming book?
Oh yes, I'm writing a book and hoping to get it done by the end of this year. It's about people who have healed their type 2 diabetes on a fruit-based diet, and it's been so exciting to find these people because I heard that it can happen, but I couldn't find any real people, and so I'm just so excited to have found some people and to be to know all the details of their stories, and it's been really helpful to me, and so I just can't wait to share it with everybody else.
That's really exciting, and all the best with it, and people check it out. Keep an eye on it, because I'm sure it's going to be a very interesting and inspirational book. Tasha, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you so much, Julia.
I've learned a lot. I'm sure people out there will learn a lot, so have a great day yourself, and you guys, have a great day also. Eat sweet, be fit, and we'll see you again in our next video. Bye.